This is Applesauce, my 3-month-old baby gecko who I'm trying to form a bond with. But the problem is, he is completely frightened of me, but I have a plan to gain his trust that involves a Lego set, Johnny Cash, a special sauce, and the love of Applesauce's life. But before we get into all of that, there's something he needs more than anything else. Applesauce, please stop annoying my praying mantis. This right here is a trust meter, which will measure how much Applesauce trusts me over the next 30 days. And on day 1, we are starting on red because our relationship is at an all-time low and it can only go upwards from here, I think. So to get off to the best ever start, I made Applesauce his very first terrarium. Applesauce enters his new abode, but this is where I discovered a problem, and one that could end in tragedy. It's normal for geckos to not eat in the first week or so, but it's been 15 days, and Applesauce is looking a little skinny. If he doesn't start to eat soon, then this could mean an expensive trip to the vet, or even worse, him passing on. So I have a plan that will hopefully get this baby eating. I've had no luck with gecko food and fruit flies, so I decided to make Applesauce something he can't refuse. A smoothie. Fruit should only really be used as a treat for geckos, and I don't want him getting used to eating this. But he hasn't eaten in so long, I'm willing to try anything. I can confirm this smoothie tastes incredible, but it's not for me, so let's see what Applesauce thinks. The smoothie didn't work. I left the bowl in there and dropped some blobs on his favourite hangout spots, and after a 35-minute standoff with the blob, he turned away and we entered day 16 without eating. The blobs are still in there and the bowl is full. I'm extremely concerned. We're one step away from syringe feeding and a trip to the vets to rule out any parasites. I'm going to try something a little strange. Applesauce will not let me hold him as he thinks I'm a predator. I want him to feel safe when he's out of his home, and not just roaming around on a table with a giant trying to pick him up. My logic is that this will help him feel more comfortable, and if he feels more comfortable, he'll finally eat something, and this will be the first step in us building a friendship. So I combine two things that I love, Lego and cheesy 1980s movies. We enter day 17 without eating, and this is the first time Applesauce is exploring his Lego set, and there's a prize for raspberry at the end. He seems more comfortable than when he's just on the table, but is still scared of my finger, and clearly we have some way to go. As he starts to explore, he takes the non-conventional path, instead opting for higher ground. He spots the raspberry and descends. Maybe this will be the first time he eats something. He approaches, gives it a single lick, and decides it tastes like trash. But I'm counting this as progress. It's the first time I've seen that little tongue taste something, and this might actually explain why he didn't like the smoothie. But I am not going to give up there. While Applesauce is still in the Lego set, I'm going to try something a little more alive. Applesauce spots some movement, and after 20 excruciating seconds, he bites and eats his first ever fly. Applesauce, what are you doing? You had it in your mouth. I'm resigned to syringe feeding, and he really is not going to like this. But I left the camera rolling, and it seems that first taste of a fly whets his appetite. Applesauce successfully eats his first fly and proceeds to going on a spree, devouring 5 flies in the space of a few minutes. Once he was done, he climbed up the Lego set, and I decided this would be a good opportunity to see if he'll jump on my finger. So I extend it out to him. This is the closest he's allowed me to get to him, and he even seems to outstretch his hand. But swiftly changes his mind. That is absolutely okay though. He ate for the first time, and I'm raising myself to an amber on the trust meter, and now it's bedtime for our little baby. After the success of day 18, the following week went by in exactly the same way. Applesauce is eating properly and is starting to associate me with the gift of food. But I have a trick up my sleeve that is going to strengthen our bond. One that takes time to develop, and it begins today on day 30, exactly 1 month after I got him. Geckos have a different hearing system to humans, and they detect lower frequencies better than higher ones. Essentially, they can react to sound, and with this information, I want to build a routine. So before every feeding time, I play a low bass note on the guitar and turn on one of the most recognisable baritone voices of all time before I drop in Applesauce's food.
Get my baby, I guess I will someday. I don't like it, but I guess things happen that way. You ask me if I'll get along, I guess I will some way. I don't like it, but I guess things happen that way. God gave me that girl to lean on, then he put me on my own. Heaven help me be a man and have the strength to stand alone. I don't like it, but I guess things happen.
Even just a few days ago, this would not have happened, and I'm certain that Applesauce is starting to associate the sound of the bass with feeding time. The trustometer is now on green, but the real marker of success is whether or not he will willingly jump onto my hand. Something that continues to elude me. There is something I've been keeping from you. Next to Applesauce's terrarium is another one, and inside is someone that I would like you to meet. This is Q-Tip, a bigger, braver, and more female version of Applesauce who has given me no trouble whatsoever in the time that I've had her. Chameleon geckos can cohabit a terrarium, and by introducing Q-Tip into Applesauce's home, I'm hoping that her bravery will rub off onto him and he will finally jump into my hand. Something Q-Tip has no trouble with. I can think of no better way to break the ice than sharing a meal together in a Lego temple. Applesauce is understandably nervous, as one often is on a first date, and Q-Tip just starts eating without him, while Applesauce just watches. I'm not going to give up here though. I very gently touch Applesauce's tail to urge him forwards, and maybe this first date will be a success after all. But he doesn't quite take that step, and Q-Tip finishes her meal alone before scarpering off into the temple. While the date did not go to plan, this is very much a work in progress, and the real test is whether or not they will live peacefully together. The first day was perfect and they seemed to be getting along just fine. I even tried to hand feed Applesauce, and for the first time ever he actually accepted. This is a huge win, but I'm not raising myself up on the trust meter until he jumps into my hand. But just when I thought things were going well, a complete disaster struck. No, you have not just left that open. Ben, you idiot. I stupidly left the lid to their terrarium open and my baby lizards were not inside. I turned the room upside down and thankfully Q-Tip was sat on top of the shelves. Oh God, thank God for that. But there was no sign of Applesauce, and to make this 10 times worse, the window was left wide open and there's a gap under the door that he could easily fit under. I checked high and low in the hallway, searched the kitchen area, underneath the sofas before heading downstairs, and I searched every single corner that I could. My hope of finding Applesauce was diminishing by the minute. But I found some very fresh evidence, and I touch it to see if it's warm. Come on, what do you take me for? I'm not touching a poo. When you're tiny, you can fit into tiny spaces. And look who I found inside, acting like nothing had happened. Man, that was fully my fault, but never do that again. Please. Applesauce has never let me hold him, and frankly has always been frightened of me. The whole point of this video was about creating a bond with him so that he trusts me and we can form a kind of friendship, at least as best one can with a reptile. and as I reached to get him out of his hiding spot, he did something for the first time. Applesauce? Yes! This was my goal all along, and just a few moments ago I thought I'd never see him again, and for him to step onto my hand.
How are you so calm now?
Look, while I couldn't be happier to find Applesauce and that he stepped on my hand, I feel like this was almost done under duress, and to raise the trust meter to green at this point doesn't feel quite right. But this is the real test on day 39. If he doesn't step onto my hand again and continues to be frightened of me, then I failed. Applesauce stays completely still and looks at my hand for a few seconds. He slowly edges forwards and places that tiny little hand onto my pinky. Isn't that just the cutest hand in the world? He starts to climb onto my fingers, takes a short pause, and finishes the job. Our bond is secured, our friendship growing, and the trust meter is on green. This brings us to the end of our first chapter. Applesauce and Q-Tip have 20 years ahead of them, with babies, terrariums, and a whole bunch of new Lego sets. Please let me know which ones you think they'd enjoy, but I promise you, this is just the beginning of their story.